Introduction. Monarchy is derived from the Greek words for mons and government, which can be rendered as a man's government. A monarchy is a political system in which the ruler or head of state is a king. Monarchy is a country controlled by one group and one person who have inherited power. Outsider cannot take the power because the power is permanently passed from father to son. Monarchy is the same as royalty in this circumstance. There are two types of monarchies, which are constitutional monarchies and absolute monarchies. Constitutional monarchies limit the monarch's power as outlined in a constitution, while absolute monarchies give a monarch unlimited power. Absolute monarchies refer to a type of monarchies in which the king is the sole ruler. Since contemporary times, the king has been constrained by a constitutional in this type of monarchy. In some absolute monarchy, however, the king is unrestricted and possesses absolute power. In constitutional monarchies, on the other hand, where the head of state's authority is also bound or limited by the constitutional, a legislature, or unwritten conventions, the king is not the only one who makes decisions. His entourage, primarily the prime minister, also has power.
An absolute monarchy is the type of government that is governed or ruled by a single person or supreme ruler that holds autocratic, absolute power, which is normally known as king or queen. They also have power as both head of state and head of government. This form of government is the oldest between other types of government, with echoes in tribal chief leadership. The government others in absolute monarchy are not legally bound and restricted by a constitution, and the absolute monarchs exercise total power over the land and its subjects. It can only be inherited from their descendant. Besides, the power by the ruler in the absolute monarchy is that as the head of state and head of government, he can quickly order or directly, either spontaneously or plan, and it will does not take a long time to be amended. Countries that exercise absolute monarch include Brunei, Saudi Arabia, Swaziland, Kuwait, and others.
There are 7 countries that involve in absolute monarchies, which is Brunei, Swaziland, Oman, Saudi Arabia, Vatican City, United Arab Emirates, and Kuwait.
The country that practices absolute monarchy is Saudi Arabia, the one example country that is ruled by the dynasty of Saud. Abdulaziz ibn Saud, the founder and first king of Saudi Arabia, took control of the Hijaz in 1924, bringing an end to battles to consolidate and unite a vast but fragmented territory. Abdulaziz aimed to implement a nation-building process that would accommodate the people's need and aspiration while evolving alongside with the assessment of what would best serve the nation and its citizens. Focus on transforming a simple administration system into a series of well-defined and well-organized institutions that administered and assisted the executive authority in managing the affairs of a growing territory. With a focus on his people's need, Abdul Aziz took the first steps toward establishing a governance system and implementing the Islamic-based principle of consultation, as presented by the Al-Quran and authentic Sunnah.
Head of state and head of government. Saudi Arabia is a monarchy ruled by the Saudi royal family. The Saudi royal family has given birth to all Saudi kings since Mohammed bin Saud established the kingdom in 1744. The king of Saudi Arabia is the head of Saudi royal family and has the highest political power in the kingdom. The king is also the head of state and government, with executive, legislative, and judicial power. After ascending the throne, the king recognized his heir, who later became the crown prince. In the case of the death of the king, the crown prince is synonym with the crown. As head of government, the king presides over a council of ministers, all of which are appointed by the king, with the most important appointment reserved for his immediate family. The mandate of the Council of Ministers is to implement government policies such as education, health, defense, and foreign affairs.
The first one, appointment. The Advisory Council is the official government advisory body established by King Abdul Aziz in 1926. The Advisory Committee is responsible for drafting law and recommending them to the King. The Consultative Council, also known as Majlis Ashura, Council of 1,000 influential and experienced members from across Saudi Arabia and appointed by the king. The Al-Shura Council has established 30 committees dedicated to specific economic areas, including judicial affairs, youth affairs, peace affairs, and financial affairs. The Advisory Council can be considered a government-like legislative body as it became a member of the International Parliamentary Union in 2003. Second one is power. As one of the world's absolute monarch, Saudi Arabia king utilized enormous power. He served as both the head of state and head of government. The king had superior authority over virtually every aspect of government. All legislation was enacted by royal decree and ministerial decree, both of which required the king approval. The king appointed all cabinet ministers, other senior government officials, and provincial governor in his capacity as prime minister. The king appointed all military officials above the rank of lieutenant colonel in his capacity as commander-in-chief of the armed force. He also named all of Saudi Arabia ambassador and foreign envoys. The country foreign diplomats were all accredited to the king. Furthermore, the king served as the final court of appeal and utilized the power of foreigners. Is succession. All king after Ibn Saud that are his son, and all possible direct heir to King Salman are from his lineage. Ibn Saud's son is considered a major claim to the Saudi throne. This clearly distinguishes the Saudi monarchy from Western monarchies, which typically have large, well-defined royal families and succession orders, and use an absolute primogeniture system. Muhammad bin Nayef was Ibn Saud's first grandson before he was removed from the crown prince position by royal decree in 2017.
This slide is about the government in Saudi Arabia. As we all know, Saudi Arabia is an Islamic-based monarchy in a system of government led by king, who is also the commander-in-chief of the army. In addition, the king appointed a crown prince to help him carry out his duties and responsibilities in the system of government, and at the same time the crown prince was in the second row after the throne. Next, the king also rules with the help of the council of the ministers, also known as the cabinet. There are 22 government ministries that are part of the cabinet. Each ministry specializes in a different part of the government, such as foreign affairs, education, and finance. They say so because no abuse of power and also no seizure of power in a ministry. Therefore, tightness and good system order is very important for a country to ensure the comfort of the people and also facilitate the government to plan and shape the country. Next, Saudi government is since the beginning of the first Saudi state in the 18th century. And the last one is Sharia Islamic law, has been the pillar and source of the basic system of government of Saudi Arabia. So this slide is about the ministry in Saudi Arabia. The first one is the Council of Ministers, should have the power to set internal, foreign, financial, economic, educational and defense policy, as well as the general affairs of the state, and should oversee its implementation on the responsibilities of each exciting ministry. Next, the Deputy Prime Minister and member of the Council of the Ministers shall be appointed by the King, and then the King has the right and responsibilities in dissolving and reconstituting the Council of Ministers. Then the person who are holding a position in the ministry must be a Saudi citizen by descent and upbringing and known as an honest and efficient person. Then the term of the Council of Ministers shall not exceed 4 years. Then since 2015, there have been 23 ministers with portfolio and 7 state ministers, 2 of whom have specialized responsibilities. And the last one, the Council of Ministers was established by the King Abdul Aziz in 1953.
In Saudi Arabia, the king has the authority to appoint and dismiss members of the council. A legislative body, or known as the Consultative Council, also advises the king. The king appoints a crown prince to assist him in carrying out his duties. Based on the law of Consultative Council of Majlis Ashura in Article 10 states that the President, Vice President and Secretary General of Majlis Ashura were appointed and dismissed by the royal decree. It is made out of 150 members appointed by the king for 4 years, terms that can be extended. The Council of Ministers, also known as the Cabinet, assists the king in governing. The Cabinet is composed of 22 government ministries. Thus, every member of the Council of Ministers stipulated should be a Saudi national by birth and descent, a person known for honesty and ability, reputed for good deeds, that have never been convicted of immoral or disgraceful crimes. For termination, anyone who has a bad reputation and behaves has been convicted of a crime of immorality or contempt. A person notorious for fraud and dishonesty is also incompetent.
So this slide page is about the function of ministry in Saudi Arabia. The function of the ministry is to conduct and the communication and discussion necessary to conclude agreement. The function of ministry to make arrangement and procedure for their implementation and enforcement and to monitor their implementation. For example, the ministry in Saudi Arabia is the Ministry of Hajj and Umrah. This ministry is a Saudi Arabian government organisation that is responsible and has the right to address the issue of Hajj and Umrah in Saudi Arabian government. Then this ministry guarantee the arrival and departure of pilgrims and visitors safely arrive in Saudi Arabia to perform Hajj and Umrah. The next example of ministry in Saudi Arabia is the Ministry of Education. This ministry is a ministry responsible for education in Saudi Arabia. This Ministry of Education will focus on the education sector only and has the right to organize and plan in the education sector to be more advanced and responsible in addressing all problems and finding solutions in people education activity at both high and low level. The next example of ministry in Saudi Arabia is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Saudi Arabia. This ministry is in charge of the Saudi Arabian government, which is responsible for Saudi Arabia foreign diplomacy with other countries.
First, the launching of national program called Katra, which is translated to English means dream. The program is one of several initiatives launched by the Ministry of Environment, Water and Agriculture with a goal of reducing water consumption by 43% to 150 liters per capita per day by 2030. In terms of per capita water consumption, Saudi Arabia lags behind the United States and Canada. The Katra water saving program is an important effort to conserve this Gulf country water supply. Secondly, the issue is the right of women and girls. Council of Ministers approved historic amendment. The change to the travel documents law allow anyone holding Saudi nationality to obtain a passport, allowing women over 21 years old to obtain their own passport for the first time without the permission of their male guardian. Saudi Arabia authorities announced additional change to regulation allowing women over the age of 21 years old to travel freely abroad without the permission of a male guardian.
Ocean. In sum, Saudi Arabia hold an exceptional position in the Middle East. Its economy is heavily oil-based and the government has a dominant control on all significant economic activities. The country is divided into 13 provinces, each with a governor and a vice-governor. Each province has its own committee that advise the governor and handle development in the province. Since Saudi Arabia is an Islamic country, its legal system is based on Sharia. The king is the leader of the legal system. As the final court of appeal, he can be pardoned. The kingdom also has court. The largest is a Sharia court, which hears most cases in the Saudi legal system. The kingdom plays the crucial roles as an peacemaker in the Arab region and is an ally of the United States. Its preeminence among the Gulf, Arab and Islamic countries means that it is a leader in the area.